All right, tonight we are going to talk about questions I ask myself as a leader. And I want to clarify, this is questions I ask myself as a leader pertinent to leadership, not why am I the way I am or things of that nature, because that just, you don't want to go there. So we're going to have some fun with leadership questions that I ask myself tonight, and I really like this lesson, so I hope everybody's paying attention. Got your note takers ready, because we're going to move quick. We've got a lot of ground to cover tonight, and this is some good stuff. So let's talk about the value of questions. Focused questions stimulate creative thinking. And listen, if you want to grow this business, if you want to move forward, creative is where it's at. And focused questions helps stimulate creative thinking. There's something about a well-worded question that often penetrates to the heart of the matter and triggers our new insights, our new ideas. This is what makes brainstorming, getting together and asking each other questions and just dreaming and thinking. You can do this with yourself, because this is where our insight, this is where our ideas come from. Honest questions lead to solid conviction. Sir Francis Bacon said, if a person will begin with certainties, he will end in doubts. But if he will be content to begin with doubts, he will end in certainties. This is a real fancy way to me of saying, if you focus on the why, the how will show up. But if you're focused on how, you'll probably never get to why, because you'll doubt yourself. Because you know what? If we're convicted about something and we believe in something, that is what will get us to the finish line. But if it's about the how-to, the dot the I's, cross the T's, if it's about the process, you will not do well in this business. I'm just here to tell you, this is a heart business, and this is a business where, yeah, you got to have a plan. But what's even more important than the plan is the conviction that this is good, this is right, and this will work. Conviction is where it's at. So correct questions, they help us find ourselves and our mission. Correct questions help us find ourselves and our mission. Can your mission be stated in a sentence or two? Can you define simply who you are, what you do, what you're about, what your purpose is? Hopefully, yes. So a good way to begin formulating your mission, your purpose, is with some questions. Questions and some nakedly honest, direct answers. You will not get very far in your second half without knowing your life mission. You've got to know what your purpose is. So let's ask some questions here. Let's get our note takers out and let's write some notes. I'm going to give you a few seconds to answer these, because these are important. What is your passion? What fires your imagination? What is it that drives you? What is it that gets you excited? What is your passion? Number two, what have you achieved? What have you achieved? What are the plaques on the wall for? Have you got a degree? Have you done something? Have you gotten a trophy, won a contest? What have you achieved? What have you done? Write it down. What have you done uncommonly well? What have you put your hands to that you do better than the average person? What do you put your hands to that you do exceptional? What do you put your hands to that you could say you are gifted? We all got something. If we ain't got something, it's because we haven't found it, because we all have incredible purpose. What have you done uncommonly well? How are you wired? How are you wired? What makes you tick? What kind of person are you? How are you wired together? Make some notes. Be honest, naked honest with yourself. Where do you belong? Where do you belong? What are the should-haves that have trailed you during the first half, the half that you've lived up till now? What are the should haves that have trailed you during the first? I should have done this, I should have done that, I should have been this, I should have gone here, I should have did this. What are your should haves? And here's another question. Am I investing in myself? You got all these should haves. But am I investing in myself? This is a personal growth question, folks. You know I beat this one to death. But if you're not where you want to be, first ask yourself a question. Have I invested in myself? And then the most important question, did you act on it? Because here's the problem, folks. I got to go full screen for this one because I'm about to get crazy. It doesn't do you no good to go to a seminar if you don't learn it and then change, if you don't act on it. You can agree with everything in the world, but if you don't change, it doesn't matter. You can hear everything in the world, but if you don't shift, it doesn't matter. Are you investing in yourself, and then are you making changes? Man, as soon as I get new information, it's on. It's time to change. Right now, I'm changing a lot. I'm changing my diet again because I had some epiphanies this weekend. I was teaching Dr. Karen Wolf's and Brian Dixon's training up in Ohio that's available, and I learned some things, and I'm like, wow, where's that been hiding? And I'm making some changes because I want to get my diet better. I need to get some weight off that came on to me after my last trip to Sauna. Even things started working different. I'm like, I got to get that fixed. So, we have to learn new information, and then we got to apply it. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm learning and I'm applying. I'm investing in knowledge. I'm investing in information, but then you have to do it. It doesn't do you no good to go hear Tony Robbins and then not do what the man says to do. It doesn't do you any good to go see Robert Kiyosaki and then not do what the man says to do. It doesn't do you any good to go see Darren Hardy and then not do what the man says to do. It doesn't do you any good to go to church and listen to the pastor and then not do what you've learned. If we truly invest in ourselves, the investment happens not when we get the information, folks. The investment happens when we apply the information. Knowledge is only potential. Application is power. So how much are you investing in yourself is not how many seminars are you going, but how many seminars are you becoming. You come to the art of communication. The art of communication is not about sitting in a chair. The art of communication is about radical change in 72 hours because we teach you to do different so you can go home and be different. Not have more knowledge, but be changed. That's what investing in yourself is about. It's not about more head knowledge. It's about, whoa, what happened to you? You're different. You're better. You're excelling. You're growing. It's on. Personal growth is not about how many seminars you can check off. Personal growth is about growing. That means getting better, getting stronger, being more of a person of excellence, being less of a person of mediocrity, being more of a person of responsibility, less of a person of scarcity, more of a person of abundant servant heart leadership, and less about what's in it for me. If we're invested in ourselves, it means we're doing personal growth, which means we're actually doing what we learned. What that means is you can't come back from a seminar and be the same. You have to be different or you didn't learn anything. Every day, something new, something changes, something grows, something shifts, and we go to bed a different person than we woke up every single day if we're investing in ourselves. Now, there are three types of people: the unlearned, the learned, and the learners. The unlearned, the learned, and the learners. Which one do you want to be? I don't know any better. I know better. Or I'm getting better. How to be a lifelong learner. Who wants to be a lifelong learner? Man, if you want to be a lifelong learner, be growth orientated instead of goal orientated. Now, that doesn't mean we don't set goals. What it means is we're focused on growth, and that's how we get our goals. Our goal is a roadmap, but growth is how we close the gap. Goals are a roadmap. Growth is how we close the gap. And 30% of college graduates read an entire book after they graduate. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. You want to be a lifelong learner? You can be wealthy, because lifelong learning is one of the differentiators in the wealthy and the wage earner. When we teach our seminar, The Art of Abundant Wealth, one of the characteristics we teach is be a lifelong learner, because most people quit learning once they get out of high school or college, or they get on the job training. They're done learning. Now for the rest of their life, they're just a cog in a wheel. Man, you should always be growing, always be learning. So be growth orientated instead of goal orientated, because your growth is what will get you your goal. Number 2, develop a personal growth plan. Successful people make important decisions early in their life and then manage those decisions the rest of their life. One of the earliest decisions I made was we moving to Florida, baby. Made that decision at 20. And we've been down here ever since. Did that decision early in my life transform our lives? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Every decision you make can be compounded on, can be grown on, as long as we stay focused and we stay perseverant. The people that don't have a growth plan are the people, they do this for 6 months, and then they do that for 6 months, and then they try this for 3 months, and then they do that for a year, and then they do this for a year. These people are going to grow old, and they're going to have nothing to show for it, because they never had a growth plan and they never stick with anything. Successful people make decisions, stick to it, and manage the decisions for the rest of their lives. Possess a teachable attitude. Possess a teachable attitude. If we want to be lifelong learners, we have to be teachable all of our live-long life. What does that mean? It means everybody we meet has the potential to teach us something. We always have to be open to get new information, to learn something new, to hear something that's been unheard to this point. Man, I was in Proverbs this morning reading, and it just happens once in a while. Where have you been? I've read that book a bazillion times. I read it constantly. And I read a verse this morning, I'm just like, wow, where have you been? It's amazing how stuff just there's always teachable moments. And every time I meet someone, every time you meet something, you should be looking for something to learn. But we have to have an attitude of gratitude that we've got an opportunity to learn today, not an attitude of I know it all, or I think I know it all, or I know just enough to be dangerous, but now I'm cocky. We have to have a teachable attitude. And you know, I'm just starting to get old enough that I think I can say this and not get in too much trouble. And that is I'm getting ready to turn 49 here in a couple months. Got 1 year left to be in my 40s, and then I'm a half century old. I think I can safely say at this point, the younger you are, the more teachable you need to be, because it's kind of funny how I see that the 40-year-olds don't know as much as the 30-year-olds, and the 30-year-olds don't know as much as the 20-year-olds, and the 20-year-olds don't know as much as the teenagers from their point of view. But something happens when you start getting into your late 40s and start heading towards 50 and stuff like that. It starts to flip, and you realize how arrogant and how stupid you've been up until that point, and wisdom starts to kick in, and you start realizing you don't know spit. And you start to look back and go, oh my gosh, I really acted like that in my 20s. I really said those things in my 30s. The younger you can learn to have a humble teachable attitude, the faster you can gain wisdom that will set you apart in life. So one thing I always teach people is to have a teachable attitude. You got to check the attitude and replace it with gratitude that someone is here to teach you something. So let's talk about some attitudes about learning. The arrogant attitude. No one can teach me anything. I got this. The naive attitude. Someone can teach me everything. And the teachable attitude. Everyone can teach me something. Do you see the difference? Nobody can teach you everything you need to know. But there's no one that doesn't have anything that they need to learn. And everybody can impart something to you if you have the teachable attitude. Number 4, initiate meetings with growth potential. Relationships help us define who we are and what we become. You are only as powerful as your relationships that you forge. And a teachable attitude, an attitude of gratitude, allows you to attract and keep in check with people that are also sharp and powerful. Humbleness goes a long way to put together a team of extreme power. Relationships with those people help us define who we are and what we become. Number 5, identify and concentrate on your strengths. One of the things that Tammy and I do when we travel and we do our annual meeting, which we'll be doing on this little trip, is we take inventory of what I'm doing. We take inventory of what she's doing. And then we start to identify the strengths. Am I doing the right things? Am I doing some of the wrong things? Are we doing stuff that we shouldn't be doing? Are we not doing things we should be doing? We go through the whole genre and take a full step back and look at assessment of our business and say, am I in the right spot? Are you in the right spot? Are there things that need to come on my plate? Are there things that need to come off my plate? Are there things that need to come on her plate or off her plate? And we do that by identifying our strengths and our weaknesses and concentrating on our strong points. Number 6, learners invest in growth resource material. Many of you have heard me talk about my $1 million library. My $1 million library, I don't have anywhere near $1 million in my library. But my library has made me millions because I'm an investor. I buy growth material. I remember when I went to Chicago a couple years back to a Darren Hardy event. And this was the first time I ever heard Darren Hardy live. And the first time I heard him live, he cracked me across the head with a 2x4, about knocked me out of my seat. He hit me so hard. Woke me up. I mean, woke me the heck up. And man, I went to the next main session and he got my attention. And I'm like, man, this guy has got some things that I need to learn. And I'm like, this dude is on. So I went out to the table, because every speaker has a table. And I went out to the table and there was a nice young lady there and I told her who I was and I want to get some material. And so she says, well, here's what she started to go and what we have and, here's the different deals. And I said, let me stop you right there. I said, take everything you have for sale and put it into a bag. Here's my credit card. And she just kind of looked at me and smiled. And I said, that's right. I said, I want everything this man has. And just put it in a bag. And I bought it all. And I took it home. And I assimilated. I sucked it all up. And I soaked in it. And I marinated in it. And I studied Darren Hardy stuff. Because Darren Hardy has revolutionized a lot of what and how I do business. Because I invested in the material. So if you want to be teachable, invest in growth material. Teach your team to invest in growth material. Number 7, continually leave your comfort zone. I tell people every day of your life, you should do something that exits you from the comfort zone, something that puts you out in the world of uncomfort, because that's the only way you grow. If you're never uncomfortable, you're just taking a ride. You're just cruising. Man, I don't cruise. I want to live. I want to grow. So continually leave your comfort zone. To grow, you must be willing to let your present and future be totally unlike your past. Your history is not your destiny. Your history is your history. Your future is totally different. Man, I'll tell you what, if the next 5 looks like the last 5, you're not growing. You're just chilling. The next 5 should look totally different. It should be radical. It should be growth. It should be an adventure. If all you're doing is trying to recreate the same, all you're doing is trying to survive. You have entered the mediocre zone. But if you are continually leaving your comfort zone, trying new things, stretching your wings, hearing no a lot, getting rejected, all the good stuff that comes with pushing forward, man, your future is bright. Leaders need to realize that in the long term, the most important question for a company is not what you are, but what are you becoming? And that is a question that Tammy and I will be asking each other over the next week while we're chilling out and enjoying some time together. We're talking. One of the big questions we're going to ask ourselves is, in the next year, what are we becoming? What are we becoming as individuals? What are we becoming as a couple? What are we becoming as a company? Where are we going? What's different? What's growing? What's changing? What's shifting? What is our purpose? What are we becoming? And my question to you is what are you becoming? What is your purpose? What is your transformation? What is the metamorphosis that you're going through for? Number 8, capture what you learn. When you learn something, own it. Darren Hardy says, I would rather see someone read the same book 10 times and own it than read 10 books one time. If you want to learn something, learn it, own it, get it in your DNA. The number one time waster is looking for things that are lost. And take it from an ADHDer, man, I spend time every day looking for stuff that I sat down somewhere and now I don't remember where I sat it down because that wasn't my focus. If we stay focused, we don't lose much. And if we don't lose much, we don't lose time. Number 9, reflection. Reflect on what you learn. Reflection turns experience into insight. Evaluated experience is the best teacher. This is failing forward. It's also succeeding forward. When we learn, when we experience, when we validate, we need to reflect. We need to think about, man, what worked? What didn't? What changed? Why did this work? What happened? Reflection turns experience into innovation and insight. And number 10, pass it on. You want to really learn? Teach. Listen, there's a reason I started doing Super Saturdays when I was a believer. I know the fastest way I'm going to learn this stuff is to teach it. A learner builds a reservoir of learning. And as a leader builds a reservoir of learning and then becomes a river of learning to others, that's when it starts happening. Legacies have their character intact when leaders build leaders. Become a river. Become a wellspring of information and knowledge. Teach others. Inspire others. Show others how to do it. We learn 10% of what we read. We learn 20% of what we hear. We learn 30% of what we see. We learn 50% of what we see and hear. We learn 70% of what we discuss with others. And we learn 80% of what we experience personally. One of the things that I do just based on this is when I teach Art of Communication, I offer a bonus day. And the bonus day is videotape day. And what's funny about videotape day is it's a real small class. It's usually 6-8 people at the most. And this small group meets in the morning, and all day we videotape one at a time, one person in front of the room. Now, why do we do that? Because the person that's getting videotaped speaking actually gets to see how they show up. So what do? We hear how we show up. We see how we show up. We discuss with the class how we showed up, and we experience it personally. And so you know what? It's no wonder that when day one of the seminar starts, the people that came to the pre-day, they've got this thing beat. Why? Because they spent a whole day learning at the 80% level. But you want to take it to the next level? 95% of what we teach to someone else, we learn. Folks, if you want to learn this business fast, if you want to learn life fast, teach. Teach, 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 teach. A lot of people, oh, I don't have time for that. Folks, you think I got any more or less time than you do? I got the same 24 hours in a day. So why do I do Men of Excellence on Monday night? Because when I do that show for men about becoming spiritual men of excellence, I'm learning more than anybody. Guaranteed. When I teach this, I'm learning more than anybody. Guaranteed. When I teach a Super Saturday, I learn. When I teach, every time Tammy and I teach Building Your Dream Team, we learn. Why do we spend so much time as educators in this industry? One, we love people and we love making a difference. But I gotta be honest with you, a little bit on the selfish side, 95% of what you teach, you learn. This is why we are as good at what we do as we are, is because we teach it. And when you teach, you retain. So you know what? You don't think you have time to teach a Super Saturday? I would argue you can't afford not to. You don't have time to take a phone call and teach someone how to overcome an objection. You don't have time not to, because unless you've mastered everything there is to master about this business, which means you're probably a 42-star diamond, then you got something to learn. And if you've got something to learn in this business, the fastest way to learn it is to teach it to someone else. So get out of your head that you don't have time to work with your team, that you don't have time to overcome issues, that you don't have time to teach people how to do this because you can't afford not to, because you don't have time to learn how to do this business by just reading and getting it at 10% when you can learn it almost 10 times faster by teaching someone else how to do it. Get the point? You want to be good at this business? Be a teacher. Your retention rate is off the hook. Here's a question for you. Am I genuinely interested in others? Folks, this is not a business that is a good business to be in if you're not generally interested in others. Lots of careers you can not like people and you can go make a lot of money. This is not one of them. This is a business that pays well for people that love people. You have to be genuinely interested in others. A man always has two reasons for doing anything: a good reason and the real reason. Folks, if you are people, in other words, you want to use the approach of getting where you want to go by getting other people where they want to go, this is the right business to be in. But it means you've got to be willing to teach. You've got to be willing to inspire. By your actions, you will know whether it's all about you or whether it's about your team and you getting what you want because they got what they want. Manipulation. What is manipulation? It's moving people for personal benefit. What is motivation? It's moving people for mutual benefit. I'll give you an example here. I've had several types of leaders in my organization, and I had a leader at one time that was notorious for calling her people on Friday night and asking them what they're putting in. But the problem is, all she wanted to know was, what is her check gonna be? And so it was just like, how much volume are you putting in tonight? How much volume are you putting in tonight? How much volume are you putting in tonight? And you know what? Her team didn't really respect her. But another person calls up somebody on Friday night and says, are we going to make this achiever thing happen tonight? Are we going to get you your $400 check? Are we going to get you your $200 check? Are we going to keep this 6-week streak of getting paid alive tonight? Now, here's the interesting thing. The person that is motivating to someone else to get forward movement is doing it because they want them to win. When your people win, you end up in the same place as the manipulator who's only doing it for personal gain. But here's where the rubber hits the road. It takes people about a nanosecond to figure out whether they're being manipulated or motivated. So make sure you're in it to win it for them, and that you are a motivator, not a manipulator. There we go. So, questioning your motive is different than questioning your character. Motives are usually attached to specific situations and are often short in duration. Character, however, is connected to the heart and is with you in all situations. Therefore, you can have a temporarily flawed motive and still have a solid character. But if the character is solid, wrong motives will soon be corrected. So if something stays a consistent pattern, it is a revelation of the person's character. But short duration that shifts and changes is someone with character learning. And that's a beautiful thing. Mature leaders place what's best for others above themselves. Leaders see before others see and more than others see. So you see, a leader wants the best for their team. And a lot of times they'll put their team's own agenda above their personal agenda. Because leaders will see people before they hit the speed bump, before the problem. Leaders have vision. In other words, they see into the future. They see it unfolding because they're trained to do so with experience. Mature leaders guide their people down a path that their people can't see. And that's when you earn the trust and respect of a leader. A leader can take you places. A leader can get you there faster. But there has to be mutual trust and respect. So, here's a question. Am I doing what I love and loving what I do? Am I doing what I love and loving what I do? Find a passion and follow it. Find a passion and follow it. It's all the career advice you'll ever need. Find something you love, you'll find a way to make it work. Find something you enjoy, you'll find a way. You know, anybody that knows me knows that flying is a big thing for me. I love flying, I love aviation, I love being in the air. Really like going straight up and straight down more than I do like going straight and level. But here's the interesting thing. I don't have an aircraft power plant mechanics license. I don't have any certification whatsoever other than the fact that I have a commercial pilot's license. But I started an aviation business, complete with an upholstery shop, complete with a detail shop, a paint shop, and the ability to even do engine maintenance. I don't have any of the certifications to do any of that. But I was able to collect a team of people that did have the certifications needed to do all of that. Why? Because I love aviation. It's fun. And I enjoyed it, and it was a great career. What made it work? Passion. Passion. So, within your business, what is your passion? What makes it go for you? One of the things I love about our company is it's your life, it's your health, it's your way, it's whatever you want this thing to look like, and I love that because I'm making it look exactly the way I want it to look. And I encourage you to do the same because my passion allows me to fold into this business the things that make it fun for me, the things that drive it for me, and you can do the same. Focus on your passion and this business will pay you handsomely, but you have to bring your passion into it. So here's some passion points. You will never fulfill your destiny doing work you despise. Ain't gonna happen. Doesn't mean it's not hard work. Doesn't mean it doesn't have its moments. But you will never fulfill your destiny doing stuff you don't like to do. Passion gives you an advantage over others. When you are doing stuff that you are passionate about, when you are doing stuff that is life-changing for you, when you are doing stuff that you can't wait to get out of bed and can't believe you get paid to do this, you have a tactical advantage in business. And so what you've got to do is you've got to figure out how to do this business from your passion point, because then you'll never work a day in your life. It doesn't mean it's not hard work, but listen, people climb mountains for fun, and that's not exactly easy. It's not about hard or easy. It's not about tedious. It's not about anything other than, are you enjoying the ride? Are you enjoying the process? Is this fulfilling, and is this your purpose? Passion points. You'll never fulfill your destiny doing work you don't like. You are nothing unless it comes from your heart. You are nothing unless it comes from your heart. Passion, caring, really looking to create excellence. If you perform functions only and go to work only to do processes, then you are effectively retired. And it scares me. Most people I see by age 28 are retired. If you go to work to only fulfill the processes and functions, then you are a machine. You have to bring passion, commitment, and caring, and then, and only then, are you a human being. Be a human being, not a cog in the machine. Why be a robot? Why be part of a process? Why be a cog when you can be a human being on purpose? Passion gives you energy. Integrity will slowly be lost if you continually do things you dislike. Am I investing my time? Here's a question. Am I investing my time with the right people? Most people, listen to this, most people can trace their successes and their failures to the relationships in their lives. Are you spending your time on and with the right people? Well, let's take a picture of the right people. Number one, the right stuff is mutual attraction. Friendship is born at the moment one person says to another, "What, you two? I thought I was the only one," says C.S. Lewis. Number two, a passion for growth. Your best friend is the one who brings out the best within you. Henry Ford. Well, for me, that's the smoking hot woman in the other room making sure this thing's running. She brings out the best in me. Passion for growth. Number three, a person's potential. The capacity questions. Can they? Ability. Will they? Attitude. Can they? Ability. Will they? Attitude. Question. Am I staying in my strength zone? Almost every man wastes part of his life in attempts to display qualities which he does not possess. Think about that. Stop working on your weaknesses. Start working on your strengths. Turn a 7 into an 8, not a 2 into a 3. You'll get farther in life. Most workers have a great many strengths that they can rarely get to use. Strengths can be job skills and knowledge, general abilities, personality, characteristics. Research has found that every person can do at least one thing better than any other 10,000 people. Think about that. There are, in fact, a great many hidden talents in every employee. What is the thing that you can do better than 10,000 people? That is what you need to focus on. That is what you need to hone on. That is where you need to get really, really good. What is your thing? What is your passion point? Question: am I taking others to a higher level? You can get everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Zig Ziglar, I know you've heard it a million times, but are you doing it? Are you elevating others? You know, I had a great talk with John Miller. John is a great guy. I've known John for over 10 years now. He's been a gold director, one of the oldest gold directors on my team. Him and his wife, Helen, living a great life. He's 69 years old, getting ready to turn 70. Plays basketball with high school and college kids and whoops them because he's been taking USANA for a decade. The man's in good shape. John let me in on a little secret on this last trip. I was up there this last weekend. When he was young, he had a 64.5, 65 Mustang. First year, GT convertible. And he said, you know, Tony, I'd really like to have another 64.5, 65 Mustang GT convertible. And you know what? I'd really like John to have that Mustang convertible. That'd be a cool car. And they're not cheap, man. They're about 10 times what they could be bought brand new back in the 60s. Popular car. And there's only so many of them. But you know what? I want to help John get one. I want to help John get one, and I want to help him build his team, because you know what? John has spent a good piece of his life in ministry helping other people get what they need, a relationship with God. And I'd like to see John get his car. So we're going to work on that. And I've got a presentation for him tomorrow night, and I've got a couple gals I'm working on with next week, and we're going to see if we can't get John a Mustang. And you know what? If he gets his, I get mine. It's that simple. Question: am I taking care of today? The secret of success is determined by your daily agenda. Did you make today count? Is tomorrow gonna also count? Am I taking time to think? A minute, an hour. A minute of thought is greater than an hour of talk. Folks, listen, take it from me. Take time every day to think, to process, to dream, to ponder. You can't afford not to. Am I developing leaders? One of the most significant contributors to business failure is the inability to get things done through other people. Are you developing other people on your team that can get the job done? Man, we're in the perfect business for that. How much time are you spending developing leaders? Are you doing a 90 Days to Achiever program? Are you attending a 90 Days to Achiever or Road to Gold program? Are you coaching your downline? Or do you not have time for that? Folks, if you don't have time for that, you've completely missed the point of this business. Are you developing leaders? In hospital emergency rooms, nurses have a saying, and being an EMT for 10 years, I have seen this in action. Watch one, do one, teach one. This refers to the fast pace of the profession and the need to learn quickly, then jump right in to practice what you learned on a real life patient and then pass it on to one just as quickly to someone else. Notice that learning is only the first 1/3 of the job. The real key is putting that learning into practice. And folks, I seen this when we were EMTs in the fire department. That's pretty much what it was. I got showed once, I did it once, and then I showed somebody else once. That is medicine. And I know we got some nurses on. I know Karen and Dwight Spalding are on, and I know Karen's probably seen that a million times in her days as a nurse. Now she's retired full-time USANA now, so of course she didn't have to do that anymore. But would that not work the same way in our business? Show a biz op, let them do one, and then let them show one. Why does it have to be done 100 times? This is not rocket science, folks. Let's get people moving. Show one, or watch one, do one, teach one. Real simple math, man. That's just good stuff. This applies to any profession or business. You just can't read about how to change a tire, ride a bike, write a contract, start a business, or perform open heart surgery. You got to perform the skill to perfect the skill. And that's right, if you're a doctor, there's only one way to get good at open heart surgery, and that is to do open heart surgery. You don't learn it in a book until you've got it mastered. You go out and do it until you have it mastered. We've got to do the same thing in our business. So let's wrap up tonight talking about the 5-step equipping process. Number 1, I do it. Number 2, I do it and you are with me. Number 3, you do it and I am with you. Number 4, you do it. 5, you do it and someone is with you. This is basically the 4-step process that we've been teaching for years. Am I investing in myself, folks? This is the question we got to ask. Am I investing in myself? This is a personal growth question. Am I genuinely interested in others? This is a motive question. Am I doing what I love and loving what I do? This is a passion question. Am I investing my time with the right people? This is a relationship question. Am I staying in my strength zone? This is an effectiveness question. Am I taking others to a higher level? This is a mission question. Am I taking care of today? This is a success question. Am I taking time to think? This is a leadership question. Am I developing leaders? This is a legacy question. Am I pleasing God? This is an eternity question. The ultimate test for a leader is not whether he or she makes smart decisions and takes decisive action, but whether he or she teaches others to be leaders and builds an organization that can sustain its success even when he or she is not around. True leaders put ego aside and strive to create successors who go beyond them. We have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to touch lives and change lives. And the way we change lives is create in others the desire, the drive, and the ability to change their lives because we first believed in them, and then we invested in them, and then we gave them wings to fly. The life of a leader is an amazing one. Let's give somebody wings so that they too can soar like eagles. Because when we all got eagle wings, we all go to the top. I'll see you at the top, and we will see you next time on RevYourBiz.